Good morning, everybody. What is going on? Thank you for being here. We are, wait for it, live, and the markets took a turn, but we are still doing good. It is pretty crazy what's going on. We're going to get into it, but please read the disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I am not late. I started the stream at exactly 11:30. I am not your financial advisor. I have no idea what your situation is. Please do your due diligence and make sure that you use this video and all videos like it for educational and entertainment purposes only. Now, let's get to it. You know, before we get into everything, I got to say, I was getting everything ready for the show. This came across. I was talking a lot of smack yesterday about Ferrari and what comes in. Ferrari's new supercar is a homage to the twin-turbo V8. Hey, Ferrari, stick with this stuff. Don't even make the EV. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is a beautiful piece of machinery. This is a work of art. I don't know what you call that other thing that you put out. This is a work of art. Anyway. A lot of things going on in the market today. We have Zscaler collapsing. We're going to get into that. I know that Trump is going to speak. We'll cut over to that at some point when he goes live. And let's just get into it. Let's bring up the platform. Let's see where everything stands right now. I gotta say, I do like my homepage, even though I show you guys a different page. This is what I look at. I got all my news here, got the streaming ticker, got the spark lines on everything. The VIX is under 17. Nobody's shook. Nobody is shook, guys. Nobody is shook. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. We got Nas here. We got Rusty here. Chels was fourth, not fifth. Star is here. Diana is here. Gonzo is here. PB. What is going on, everyone? Really appreciate it. Joe is here. All right. The market dashboard. Everybody wanted to say that Steve was crazy. Maybe I am a little crazy. I'm definitely a little crazy, but not when I talk about oil. We don't even have a deal yet, and we're at 90, okay? No deal, oil at 90 a barrel. What do you think happens when we get a deal, everybody? On the indexes, we got the S&P at 75.17. We got the Dow approaching 50,700. We got the Nasdaq at 26,620. You know, Joe, I am crazy sometimes. I am definitely crazy sometimes. So let's get into individual companies, all right? We got tech down a little bit, but everything else seems to be doing good. We have energy negative 1.23%. Now, I really thought we would get a rotation out of tech, and it looks like that's happening. I mean, a rotation out of energy, and it looks like that's happening. But it's not just going to tech. Tech ran yesterday. How about this, everybody? Good thing I waited to write my next set of covered calls. Read it up 10%. Well, 9.29%. Let's be exact. That's a pretty big run. It was overblown with the whole meta bullshit. Iran is up another $3. Service Meow, 103.76. Look at SoFi trying to catch a bid, everybody. IBM is up I like seeing this. Amazon, I like seeing it. Hood, 75.49. Tesla, 441. Salesforce, 181. Apple, 312. Micron, over 900, everybody. Where's everybody chirping that it was the top when I bought at 609? Where are all the chirps? Look. Or 709, whatever the hell I bought at. What was it? 709? It was 709. 709. Where are all the chirps? I said if it went to 600, I'd buy more. Anyway, Cisco trying to get to 120. That's right. Service meow for Matt. Altria Group, 72.66. Meta, don't bet against the Zuck, 614. Ray, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike, Ray. Just for fun. This guy's, let me see. I don't even know. I mean, I would say just for fun would be hanging out with a cup of coffee and, you know, I'm not even going to say it. Ray, how about you say it? What's your favorite type of cake? That's what I want to know. Cannoli icing. I mean, Michelle bakes all the time. Double chocolate. I want to know. And then you got Maddie Money in the comments. Maddie Money. Congratulations, Matt Money. Rocket Money is still over 140. You better go to that Porsche dealership pretty soon. Zeta, 1961. Microsoft, 412. Palantir, listen. Strawberry cheese. You had me at strawberry. You lost me at cheesecake. Okay. NVIDIA is being so damn disrespected. It's not okay. 209.87. I got to see what Tanada says about this. Do we call Tanada live? Do we get him to weigh in on this? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if you want me to bug Captain Sleepy Time. AMD, Lena, I am so sorry, even though you're not here. I am so sorry. AMD couldn't hold 500. It's okay. It's okay. Nebius is down. CoreWeave down. Wake him up, huh? We'll see. We will see. Man, there's so much right now. We're going to keep the heat map up. Nah, we won't. All right. I'm actually a little surprised. Let's go back real quick. Where's Microsoft? Fucking Microsoft is down. I don't understand. Somebody needs to make me understand. The top of the tape this morning, HSBC put out the number that I thought was going to drive the conversation. I really did. I really did, everybody. They're estimating Microsoft could generate $43 billion in annual revenue by 2030 from the Anthropic relationship. They peg Anthropic's 2030 revenue at roughly $241 billion. And Microsoft takes a piece via Azure Compute and chip supply. So Microsoft is in talks to supply custom Maya 200 AI chips to Anthropic. The deal is not signed yet, but CNBC and The Information both confirmed it last week. This follows Microsoft's $5 billion investment in Anthropic announced in November. As part of that, Anthropic committed spending $30 billion with Microsoft. Anthropic is dealing with a compute crunch. They were behind the curve with OpenAI. Now they're playing catch up. Demand for Claude Code is ahead of supply. They need every chip they can get because I am using all the compute. I mean, I like saying that. I'm not. But I am using a lot more compute than the average person. So Anthropic is already paying SpaceX $1.25 billion per month for compute through May 2029. They have a 10-year deal with AWS Trianium worth over $100 billion. They're also using Google TPUs. So the Microsoft piece is just Anthropic stacking another supplier on top, not replacing anyone. Why this matters? I'm glad you asked. Microsoft has been behind Amazon and Alphabet in custom silicon, and getting Anthropic as a customer validates their chip program. So the April earnings call, Nadella said that the Maya 200 offers a 30% improved token per dollar versus the latest silicon in their fleet. If Microsoft can land Anthropic as the marquee external customer, it changes the cloud CapEx story going forward and tightens the moat around Azure. Look, I think that this is crazy. I think that we have a very serious problem in the market. I really do. And I'm going to discuss it tomorrow. Oh, PB. Thank you so much. Too kind. I can get behind tiramisu. I really can. Oh my God. Okay. I need to show everybody something. Hold on. I need to show everybody something. So, Chels, you're going to be very happy. I took a walk last night. I took a nice little walk through town. Nice little walk. And I was on the phone with Amit for a while. Sorry, Matt. And I need to save these pictures to my phone real quick so I can show everybody. So hold on. Save the photo. Ray, where's Michelle? She's going to want to see these. All right, now I need to email them to myself. Boom, boom, boom. You guys are going to love this. So yes, I took a walk, and when I take walks, I do not bring my wallet with me because I'll end up doing something stupid. Like, why go for a walk if I'm just going to eat cake? You know what I mean? But what do you mean? Why aren't these finished uploading? What the hell's going on? I don't know if I got my 10K steps, but I went for about an hour walk. I am charging my Apple Watch right now. What the hell? This needs to finish uploading, I guess. Anyway, I walked past the bakery and I started sending Amit pictures because of his sweet tooth. It was pretty hilarious. Wait until the attachment finishes uploading. You know what? All right, we'll just show it from my phone, I guess. Cancel. All right. I guess we're not going to be able to really, you're not going to be able to really see it. I mean, anyway, you guys get the point. You guys get the point. Lena's here. What's going on? What is going on? Yeah, I have CNBC open. I will definitely cut over to Trump when he starts talking. Do I know how to use a computer? No, I've never used a computer. I took the pictures on my phone and I was trying to email them to myself. And it's not working for some reason because it says they're not finished uploading. Anyway, Yes, Michelle, I wanted to show you some pictures that, looks like it just sent, that I sent to Amit last night. Give me a sec. Let me download these. Boom, boom, boom. There's like, oh my God, so annoying. Okay. Michelle, are you ready? This is when I go for a walk, I kind of pass the bakery. And this bakery is legit, like very legit. Look at those cakes. Look at that. Look how pretty those are. This is what I sent to Amit last night. I mean, it is a huge bakery. I think they have like 30 or 40 seats in there, and it's always packed. Always packed. Probably not the right route for me to go when I go for a walk, but that's why I don't bring my wallet. Anyway. I don't have Apple Pay, so I'm pretty safe. I am definitely safe with that. I do not have Apple Pay. Anyway, let's get back to the market. All right. We do not have a deal yet, everybody. This has been the swing factor for oil and bonds this month, and I'm still waiting for a deal. I feel like this thing's been largely negotiated for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We're not getting one. No bueno. We better get one this week. Otherwise, I don't know. The framework that was reported by Axios was 60 days ceasefire extension in the first phase. Strait of Hormuz gets reopened during the window. Iran allowed to freely sell oil again. 30 to 60 days of detailed negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. Iran's foreign ministry says the first phase is structured as a memorandum of understanding. We'll see. I mean, I think the energy markets believe we're going to get a deal, but we're not seeing it right now. We got WTI around 90. I'm really happy about that. But we do not have a deal yet. We get a deal. I think that we're going to be in for some dancing, all right? S&P 8,000 could actually happen. If S&P 8,000 happens, oh my God. I think that would be just incredible. Now, all right, we got the White House starting soon, or at least they say that it's starting soon. So we will cut over to that once the White House starts. Michelle, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Just means a longer walk. Yes, Diana, very funny. Probably just my Internet Explorer because I don't use Chrome. Sorry. I got to support Microsoft somehow. Rachel, I like it. I like it. Let me do the Microsoft rant. I told Amit to look at this last night. This is bullshit. Let me say that again. What is happening with Microsoft right now is bullshit. Here's why. I do use Microsoft Office. What do you think? I'm not using Office? Come on. All right. If we just look at Microsoft and Apple, I think that there's some big inefficiencies here, and I'm going to do a full dedicated video on it. But Rachel, I like that. Now, keep in mind, I have no clue what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to go up or down, but there seems to be a big inefficiency here. Microsoft has a 3.07 trillion market cap. Apple, 4.57. 1.5 trillion difference in market caps. Okay. Apple is at very close to their 52-week high. Microsoft is just off the lows. I mean, Microsoft's still down 25% and in a bear market. Here we go. You ready? Apple generated in the trailing 12 $451 billion in revenue. 318 billion is what Microsoft did. Apple's doing 132 billion more in revenue, yet the gross profit, EBITDA, operating income, and net income is all larger with Microsoft. Let that sink in. Apple has a $1.5 trillion larger market cap than Microsoft, yet they're not as profitable. How about margins? Glad you asked, Steve. How about margins? Oh, look at that. Oh, gross profit, 68.3% for Microsoft. Oh, wait, guess what? Apple doesn't have Azure. Go figure. Maybe actually deploying all this CapEx makes sense. Go figure, right? Oh, wait. Apple doesn't have LinkedIn. Oh, wait. Apple doesn't have anything that Microsoft has. They're a hardware company. EBITDA, 60% margin versus 35. Operating, 46.8 compared to 32.6. Cash from operations, 53.5% for Microsoft. This math is not mathing, everybody. Lena is right. The math is not mathing. User, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All I'm going to say is Noto addressed it during the interview through several questions. He discussed what they're rolling out, and I did specifically ask about Technesis and Galileo, and he discussed what they're launching in July. So that's all I'm going to say. You can read into what that means. Anyway, let's get back to the rant for Rachel. So net income margin, oh my God, Microsoft does 39.3% net income margin? Go figure. Go figure. Apple, 27%. Now, I'm not shitting on Apple. I love Apple. I'm an Apple shareholder. Been an Apple shareholder for years. I'm just saying the market doesn't make any sense. Oh, really? Microsoft does 170 billion in cash from operations. Apple does 140. Hey, Mr. Market. What should we say to Mr. Market right now? Stop it. Okay. So I can pay 15.9 times EBITDA instead of 28.5 times for Microsoft over Apple. The math is not mathing. There are major inefficiencies in the market. And look, I'm not saying one company is better than the other. All I'm saying right now is that the reality of the situation is that Microsoft's being disrespected for the wrong reasons. There are several big inefficiencies in the market. Several. And, you know, if we look at, and this is why we look at forward metrics also. Let's get through all the shit that I built. Is it weird that I'm looking forward to winter again for it to start snowing? I know a lot of people get me mad I just said that, but it's the truth. Oh, so Microsoft is trading at 24 and a half times this year's earnings, and Apple's trading at 35.5 times. Why on earth would the market give Apple that big of a valuation over Microsoft? Why? Oh, all right, we got cut over.
Very well. Number of jobs. We have more people working today than we've ever had before in the history of our country, and many other things. And I have a few words to say to you that I think will be helpful. Last night was incredible. Not only Texas, but so many other places. And the numbers were fantastic, and they've really been that way for a year. If you look, it's hundreds of people won, and almost nobody didn't win. So, but last night was very powerful. So I'm thrilled to welcome everyone to the 12th cabinet meeting of our administration, and we're doing something that no administration's ever done. We're always letting the press join us because we're very open and transparent. We like the word transparent, but we're more transparent than any administration in history. No, to the best of my knowledge, press has never been invited ever to a cabinet meeting for any reason at all. And it's an honor to have you. This team has achieved more than most other administrations achieve in 8 years. We took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border in the world. Anywhere in the world, there's no border like the border we had, and created the most secure border in the history of our country. We had no people, 12 months now, no people reported in the last 12 months came in illegally. 0 illegal aliens admitted to the United States in the last 12 months. And those charts are made by, you would say, politically unfriendly people. And the reason they don't come in is because nobody comes up, because they know that they're going to be turned away. And if they get in, they're going to be moved out right away. So it's been 0. You're the one that do the reports. I'm actually surprised by the number because I don't know how it can be 0, but they say it's 0 for the last 12 months. In 2025, we achieved the largest drop in the murder rate ever recorded. So the murder rate was quite high, and we achieved the largest drop in the murder rate ever recorded to the lowest level in 125 years. That's the year 1900. And that's despite the fact that many people came in from prisons and from very rough countries and from mental institutions and from lots of other places, drug dealers, and others. They came in illegally during the Biden administration. We've gotten many of them out, but we still have some that we're looking for, quite a few that we're still looking for, but we've gotten over 11,888 murderers were allowed into our country. We've gotten a lot of them out. We've gotten some, we put them in jail. We don't even trust the country to send them because they'll come back in maybe. We put them in jail. 11,888 murders, more than half of which have committed more than one murder. That's what they allowed, and they can never be forgotten for the horrible things they've done to this country. Fentanyl coming across our border is now down by 61%. 61%. And coming in by water, by sea, by ocean is down 97%. Can you imagine? Thanks to our Republican majorities in Congress, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history. All Democrats voted against the tax cuts, putting more money in Americans' pockets. This year, the typical family got tax refunds of nearly almost close to $5,000. The stock market has set 68 all-time record highs since the election. So 68 days, we hit all-time highs. We're right there now. And the average 401k, and that's despite the conflict. I don't call it a war, I call it a conflict. Despite the conflict with Venezuela, who no longer has a Navy, no longer has an Air Force, no longer has a lot of people that were leading the country into very bad places. Their leadership is gone. Their second rung leadership is gone, and we're dealing with their third, half of their third, because half of their third is gone too. The average 401k is up almost $30,000 since I took office. So the Americans are benefiting working today. We have the most working, and we have 401ks at their all-time high, highest they've ever been. And that goes along with the stock market, which is the highest it's ever been. Under my most favored nation agreements, this is something that I wish the media would talk about, because to me, it's one of the biggest things ever to happen in our country. Certainly as to medical, anything having to do with medical, because drug prices, we're delivering record-setting discounts on prescription drugs with price differences of 400, 500, and even 600% at the TrumpRx.gov. We recently added nearly 1,000 low-cost generics to the website. So we have drugs down 400, 500, 600%. Now you could say 80, 90, 70, 60, 50% if you want. There are two ways, depends on the way you ask the question. But a pill that would sell in Germany or in, let's say, in London for $10, we're selling for here for $130. And I got the countries to all agree, otherwise they would have had to pay big tariffs. I don't want to go into it, but I had some very interesting discussions. They said vehemently no. And then when I said, that's all right, we're going to charge you 50% tariff on everything you sell into America, they said, well, like we said, we'll say yes. And every single country agreed, and every drug company agreed. So we have most favored nations. So we were paying the highest drug prices in the world. Now we're paying the lowest drug prices in the world. So that pill that I talked about would go from $10 to $20. The world is bigger than the US. Hard to believe, but it's true. So it's not like you cut it in the middle. You just had to go up a little bit, but a little bit is a doubling of a price. So a little bit's a lot. So the pill would go from $10 to $20, and we'd go from $130 to $20. Think of that. So we would get, if you remember, some of you were at the news conference I had in my first term where I got the prices down 1/8%, 1/4% my first term. And I was so proud of it because drug prices hadn't come down in 28 years, and I was the first one to do it. But now I'm getting them down, not 1/8%, I'm getting them down 400, 500, 600. Or if you want to use it a different way, you could say 70%, 80%, 90%, 50%. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I got that through, well, everybody knew it was taking place, but we paid the highest prices anywhere in the world. Now we're paying the lowest prices anywhere in the world. And the press refuses to write about it. I think it's the biggest thing. And for healthcare, so much of it is prescription drug prices and drug prices. And with them coming down, the healthcare is going to come down very substantially. We recently added nearly 1,000 low-cost generics too, as I said, and that's 1,000 drugs, and it's all on. And this was not given by me. This was given by Dr. Oz and Bobby, and I, wasn't sure whether or not I loved the idea, but they said we want to use TrumpRx.gov is what it is, and it's the hottest site I think anywhere on the planet, from what I understand, Bobby. Right? It's really great. People are calling up and they're buying drugs for literally a fraction of the price, and it should be the biggest story. And on that alone, we should win the midterms. On that alone, we should win the midterms. But the press doesn't talk about it. It's the biggest thing to happen in the drug industry ever, maybe, ever. And the press doesn't even want to write stories about it. We made the largest ever investment in U.S. military, $1 trillion, and we're asking actually for $1.5 trillion for the coming year. And we have the strongest military anywhere in the world, as you know. You saw what we did with Venezuela. That worked out very quickly. And we're doing really equally as well with, but again, people don't want to write about it, with Iran. Iran is very much intent. They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job. But their Navy is gone, as I've said 1,000 times. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Everything's gone, and they're negotiating on fumes. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't. Right now, I mean, you can speak to Steve Witkoff and Jared. They're doing a good job. But right now, I think it looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. They have. I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall. They have 250% inflation. Their money has no value. Their whole economic system is broken down. They thought they were going to outweight me. We'll outweight him. He's got the midterms. I don't care about the midterms. Look what happened last night. That was the prelude to the midterms. People understand it. They know that, very simple, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I'm doing that for the world. I'm not doing it just for us. And we've had great support from other nations, by the way. We don't need it at all, but we've had great support from other nations. The problem is you always get the support when you don't need it. When you need it, you don't get the support. With Operation Epic Fury, our warriors are ensuring that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror never obtains a nuclear weapon, and they won't. Under the leadership of Vice President J.D. Vance, very proud of this, the White House Task Force to eliminate fraud is waging war on waste, fraud, theft, and abuse like nobody's ever seen before. He looks like Elliot Ness. Do you ever see Elliot Ness? I'm telling you, the guys are up there, Royal Central Casting, they're standing behind. What a group of people. No, it looks like a movie. I'm going to make a movie out of it, I think. And they're finding billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I just said, that's good. He said, you haven't seen anything yet. Just said that. And, if he does really great, we'll have a balanced budget without having to do anything. This is the kind of money they stole. They're crooks. They're thieves. And I hope that Todd is going to do a real job. These are crooked people. These are thieves. This isn't like a mistake. Just talking about one person, he got hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars for securing one man, for taking care of one elderly man. He was a service. He got paid millions of dollars for taking care of one man. Total crook. They're all crooks. The Somalians, what they've done to Minnesota, the Somalians, they're crooked as hell. Ilhan Omar, crooked as hell. They're all crooks. And we got them. Now we're putting the clamps on. But boy, I tell you, that's an impressive group of guys that you have behind you. I was watching that, and a couple of very strong women too. But I was watching that last night. I said, I'm proud of you guys. In 2 months, we've exposed tens of billions of dollars of defrauded taxpayer money, prosecuted numerous fraudsters, Todd, and stopped billions of suspicious payments, very suspicious. Oh, you haven't seen anything yet? Where do you see? I'm getting reports from Todd, from JD. I've never seen anything like it. The kind of just hundreds of billions of dollars was stolen. And no other administration would do what we're doing. They'd let it go. Everybody was getting rich. And I think we have a chance to save Social Security without doing anything to it by just the numbers of fraudulent people on Social Security, people that are 115 years old, 125 years old, getting payments. It's funny. I said, "Oh, do those payments get turned back?" No, they accept them. Well, somebody's getting the payment. It's not a person that's 125 years old. But that's the least of it. The numbers that we're finding out, we have great people at Social Security. We're going to make our Social Security so strong, so good that you've never seen anything like it. We're going to protect. I said right from the beginning, we're going to protect our people on Social Security. If the Democrats ever got in, you wouldn't have said Social Security would be bankrupt. People wouldn't be getting anything. Last week, they took down 2 of the largest Medicaid fraud cases in Minnesota history, as well as the largest autism fraud case ever charged by the federal government. You saw that with millions of dollars just being stolen. Everybody had autism. Everybody had autism. They said. It was incredible, actually. And I've just seen I see what they're doing. You haven't seen anything yet. So congratulations, JD. Be vicious like they are. They're violent people. They're violent, vicious scum. Before asking Vice President Vance to speak about these efforts, I want to express our tremendous gratitude to our outgoing Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's a terrific person, actually. She's come up with some findings that were pretty good. And Tulsi's worked tirelessly to restore trust and focus on the intelligence and with the intelligence community. They all respected her. They listened to her. She gave us leads that were pretty much, people thought they were dead and they weren't dead. They were right there. And she was able to expose a lot of things that we used at the FBI with Cash and with Todd and with JD and everybody else. It was amazing. She dramatically reformed the Office of Director of National Intelligence, and cutting the staff by 40%, and she prevented countless terrorists and cartel members from entering the United States. She exposed mountains of evidence related to the Russia hoax, probably the greatest hoax in the history of our country. Although when you look at the fraud coming out, there's a lot of them. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of them. But the Russia hoax, a great hoax, a very dangerous hoax too, and revoked security clearances of officials involved. And she declassified numerous historic documents of special public interest, including related to the JFK and RFK assassinations, which everybody wanted to see. And we're now releasing a lot of things having to do with space. It's people are very interested in that. It actually became the number one topic. We're releasing a lot of information having to do with extraterrestrial things, and people are totally fascinated by it. It's amazing. I wasn't sure if they would enjoy it. It's literally trending number one. Can you believe it? So a lot of people out there are like it, but we're releasing all of that information. And Tulsi, we're praying for you and for your husband. Her husband's not feeling great, but he's going to feel great soon. You're going to get him better. And he's a wonderful guy. So just say hello and thank you for the great work you've done. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to ask JD to say a few words about the war on fraud, followed by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who's doing fantastically, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, another one. I mean, we have great people. And the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, Central Casting. He loves war. I don't know. I guess he's a good man, that one. And Scott Bessent, you talk about a guy doing a job. Been fantastic. Thank you, Scott. Really fantastic. And a lot of the success that we're having with other countries is what you've been able to do and find. And SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler, and all of the people here have been great. We're going to just do those few, and maybe if you have some questions, we'll go to others. But everybody around here has got a lot to say, but we did that once and it lasted for like 4 or 5 hours. It was a little much. We want to be open. So now if I do this way, they'll say, he didn't let anybody talk. But let's start with JD, and you can talk about a really, really important thing, bringing our country back to honesty. A tremendous amount of money is involved. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, thank you for your leadership, sir, and for making it possible. I often find in the fraud task force that there sometimes are barriers that we need to break down, agencies that need to coordinate, and I'll come to the president and say, Mr. President, I need your permission to do, he'll say, for what? For the fraud task force, and he'll cut me off and say, yes, go do it. So the fact that we have dedicated presidential leadership is really what's made this possible, because it does require we've got great people around the table, but sometimes these agencies don't know how to work together at the lower level. And that's one of the things we've had to turn on and force with the fraud task force. So I want to shout out just a few all-stars here. Linda at the Department of Education has been amazing at finding student loan fraud. You've got people who are either illegal aliens or aren't even actually real human beings who are getting hundreds of millions of dollars from the Department of Education for student loans. We have cut that off. We found a lot. We're going to find a lot more. Scott at HUD has been amazing, because a lot of the fraud that we see is housing fraud, people claiming benefits that they're not entitled to, or again, sir, sometimes completely made up people who exist purely to collect fraudulent money from the American taxpayer. Brooke at the Department of Agriculture, something I had no idea until I started this work, sir, that we send hundreds of billions of dollars to the states to administer the food stamp program. The federal government has no insight into whether those food stamps are going to people who are legally entitled or whether those people actually even exist. And so we're working on a number of mechanisms to actually force the states to verify that the people who receive these benefits are actually entitled to them. And I could go down the list. I've gotten a lot of support from a lot of people in this room. Bobby Kennedy and Dr. Oz have been particular all-stars on this, and Kim at H&HS. What they've done with the Medicaid fraud, we found tens of billions of dollars in Medicaid and Medicare fraud just from their hard work. We've cut that off. And yes, Mr. President, we're going to find a lot more. The final thing I want to say, Mr. President, and I know that Todd maybe has something to say about this as well, but I always try to remind the American people, and certainly remind the cabinet officials. By the way, Kelly at SBA has found tens of billions of dollars that were from fraudulent loans that were giving under the Biden administration, and we've now cut that off and recovered a lot of that money. So This has been a whole of government effort, Mr. President. The team really deserves a great deal of credit here. But the final point I want to make, sir, is I always try to remind the American people that fraud is fundamentally a crime with two victims. The most obvious victim are the American taxpayer. They pay their taxes. They expect the money to go where it should go. And that's not happening because of the fraudsters. But there are also victims, people who benefit from these programs that don't exist if we're not actually taking care of the fraud issue. And let me just give one example to build on something you said earlier, sir. One of the people that Todd just prosecuted was a person who was collecting a lot of money from the American taxpayer to take care of elderly citizens, people who worked their entire lives, paid their taxes, should have had dignity and nobility in old age, but it was deprived from them from fraudsters who say that they're taking care of them, who collect a check to take care of them, but then abuse and neglect these people. And particularly one man who died because he wasn't getting adequate care, and that guy was still collecting benefits to take care of a person who he had completely neglected. So not only do you have an American taxpayer who's paying into these programs, you have an elderly citizen deprived of his dignity because we're not going after the fraudsters. Well, now we are.
How much money did he get?
Sir, hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more than that, but we think that that exact type of fraud has been replayed all over our country. That particular case was outside of Minneapolis. We expect that there are tens of thousands of people who are collecting fraudulent money to take care of people, and they're not actually taking care of them. We're, of course, going to get to the root of as much of it as we can. But again, sir, it's been, I wouldn't say fun, because you find out how much people have been taken advantage of, but it's certainly very good and valuable work. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Attorney General, please.
I'll just continue to talk about what the Vice President was just talking about. The way that we are actually, it's one thing to uncover fraud, which we've done, and that's part of it, but it's also prosecuting the bad guys that are doing it and stopping it from continuing. And that's where you have everybody in this room has inspector generals. And for many years, these really hardworking law enforcement members would identify fraud and nobody did anything about it. DOJ prosecuted it, but spent a very little resources on that. So what we've done just in the past 51 days, over 400 law enforcement actions in this country related to major fraud. That's search warrants, that's arrests, that's convictions, that's indictments that are filed, and that's just 51 days. And it's not just the great prosecutors. It's the FBI agents, it's DHS and HSI agents. It's everybody in this room that has inspector generals that are now they have been freed up, and it's because of you. It's because of the Vice President saying this is going to be a priority of what we are going to do, not just the Department of Justice. Even though we're the prosecutors that are putting bad guys in jail, it's also the law enforcement at every agency, FBI and DHS. And so we're already seeing results. We had a $1 billion fraud, a conviction at trial last week out of Florida. And this was an organization that was stealing from senior citizens in Florida, duping them. There were call centers set up in the Philippines, and they were duping them to buy medical equipment that they didn't need, that they would never get, and that the taxpayers paid for. And so that's a good win. We arrested 15 guys in Minnesota last week. The Vice President mentioned one of them. These are people that are not, they're just stealing. And many of them are here illegally. And so you have people who are in this country illegally, who are then taking advantage. And the Vice President says something a lot that resonates with me. The generosity of the American people, the generosity of everybody in this room, the leadership, to take care of the people in this country that are the most, that deserve it the most. Children who are supposed to get food at school, and you have men just stealing, taking that money. And so that's what we're focused on. We are standing up, as you know, Mr. President, you allowed us to stand up a new division at the Department of Justice. It's our entire existence of that division is to combat what we're talking about. And then every U.S. Attorney's Office is now focused on it as well. So this is something that will result in a better place for every citizen in this country and save money, a lot of money, and also it's the right thing to do for our tax dollars, Mr. President.
And billions of dollars was given out just very quickly before Biden left office. Billions and billions were given out. And I mean, I know of many cases, but one, I don't know what's happened with it, but I think you're looking at it. I know Lee was involved in it environmentally. Stacey Abrams was given $2 billion for an account that had $103 in it, an environmental fraud, I guess. And she had $103 in this newly opened account. And before leaving business, they put $2 billion into the account. And they had no reason for existence. They were unable to say what they did with it. $2 billion. Lee, do you want to just mention something about that?
Thanks to your leadership, Mr. President, that was canceled. And they no longer have access to that $2 billion.
They fought like hell. They wanted that money. Go
In
ahead.
fact, it was over $29 billion that it's now been canceled at EPA. You told us to make it a priority. Now this happened as soon as you came in. After the election, before your inauguration, they were caught on video saying that they were rushing to get billions of dollars out the door before you're swearing in because they were afraid that once you were sworn in, you were going to stop it. Well, that part, they were right.
We did. Yeah, we did. Great job.
And we're happy to do it, Mr. President. And, the Department of Justice under Todd Blanche's leadership, they just secured another big win in the appeals court on some recently canceled grants for different agencies. So great attorneys making sure that this accountability is delivered over the finish line. It's been a great team effort.
And we're building more, most importantly, we're building more factories and plants in the United States now than at any time ever before. $18 trillion coming in. That's not including the 12th month, that's 11. And I say it often that the Biden administration had much less than 1 trillion and we have 18 trillion. And when those final numbers come up, they'll be even higher than that. That's a record in the history of the world. No country's ever done that. And that money's going into plants and you are giving them very fast approvals, thorough and environmentally correct, but fast approvals. And you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Another man doing a fantastic job, I think we all agree, is Marco. You're all over the place, right? I watched you last night in 3 different locations. So tell us about Iran.
Well, first of all, the bottom line is Iran's never going to have a nuclear weapon. And if recent events have done anything, is just remind us once again that they are the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. And they can never have a nuclear weapon. Now, the president's preference, Mr. President, your preference is told us repeatedly, is always to negotiate these things and to figure out if you can have agreements. Diplomacy is always the first option. And we continue to work on that through your envoys, Mr. Woodcoff and Kushner and others, the vice president, who've been very involved. And if there's an agreement to be made, we want that to be made. I think there's been some progress and some interest, and we'll see over the next few hours and days whether progress could be made. I just want to remind everybody, Mr. President, you know this well, you have other options available to you if that doesn't work. But the bottom line is that we prefer the negotiated diplomatic route, and we're going to give it every chance to succeed. I know you're giving it every chance to succeed, Mr. President. But here's the bottom line, because I keep getting asked, what is this all about? It's very simple. Iran and these people in charge of Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and they will never have a nuclear weapon, and they most certainly will not have one as long as you're president of the United States. On that point, it's very clear. Just 2 quick things I want to touch upon. One, you touched upon the border and security. Part of securing our border is dealing with the people that are in this country unlawfully, many of whom do not want to go back to the country that they originally came from for a variety of reasons. Either we can't send them there or some judge ties us up. And one of the key things we have achieved is now 20 countries have signed third country national agreements, meaning these are safe countries where individuals who refuse to go back to their country of origin can be sent to that country instead. We've gotten 20 countries now around the world who have signed agreements that allow us to deport people to those places. What often happens when you go to the person who's here unlawfully and say, we're going to send you to this third country, is all of a sudden they decide they'd rather go back to their home country instead. So it gives the ability to enforce all laws, and we work very closely with the Department of Homeland Security on that front. Something else that I know is concerning people, because it's on the news, is Ebola. Our number one obligation, we're involved in foreign policy, but even our foreign policy, the number one priority of our foreign policy is to protect the American people. We cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States. And so the State Department and other agencies represented here, the Centers for Disease Control, HHS, others are working very, very hard to contain this crisis to the countries where it's currently located, particularly the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And so we've surged assistance to make sure that is being contained there. And obviously, multiple agencies involved here are also very involved in tracking people, just to make sure that nobody comes into this country that has Ebola and creates a problem for us. And we feel like we've got good efforts in place to do that. And Americans should feel assured that the president and his administration is doing everything we can to protect them on that front. My last point, you said I was all over the place. One of the places I stopped in last night was to initial the Trump route for prosperity in Armenia. This is a key linchpin of the peace deal that you were able to achieve between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Right.
And in addition to that, we also signed a critical minerals MOU with them and a strategic engagement one as well. So just a reminder of another war you helped to settle, Mr. President. But from that now we are seeing the emergence of a great new relationship with Armenia that really had grown stagnant for a very long period of time. So we're doing well on that front as well. Thank you.
And could I just ask you, Cuba and Venezuela, what's going on there?
Well, interesting. On Venezuela, that process continues, that three-phase process, of obviously stabilization, recovery, and transition. I would just say, just since January 3rd of this year, okay, and I think this number's right, and Chris or Doug can correct me on this, but I think over 10 million barrels of Venezuelan oil have been delivered to the United States since the 3rd of January. That industry is being professionalized for the first time ever. It's going to the benefit of the Venezuelan people. They are selling oil in the market at market rates. The money's going to an account in the United States, controlled and monitored by Treasury, audited by KPMG. And it's for the first time ever, the money's not being stolen. It's going to the benefit of the Venezuelan people. Cuba's in a lot of trouble because unfortunately for them, it's run by a bunch of incompetent communists. And being communist is bad. Being an incompetent communist is like the worst. And but the country's been taken over by this company called Gaesa that basically controls 70% of the economy. None of the money in that company goes to help the Cuban people, none of it. So we'll be talking to them. We'll be working on it. We want something good for the Cuban people, and hopefully there'll be a good outcome there for them. There needs to be. It's 90 miles from our shores, and having a failed state 90 miles from our shores is a threat to the national security of the United States.
So we're producing right now more oil by double than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. There's never been anything like that. We don't need oil. We don't need the Straits. We don't need anything. But we have more oil now being produced by 2 times than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. It's a great stat. You want to say something about that?
Well, I would, President Trump, under your leadership, we've opened up lease sales on public land. This is land that was put away for the benefit and the use of the American people, like the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in Alaska. The Biden administration had illegally stopped holding lease sales during their administration. President Trump famously said, drill, baby, drill, but before you can drill, you've got to open public lands. Between the lease sales that have happened in the Permian, in the Bakken, and on the North Slope, just since January of this year, it's over $4 billion of revenues come into the Treasury. That's 13 times more than the Biden administration brought in on lease sales in the entire 4 years they're in office. Sir, your policies brought that in 5 months. So with that, a lot of excitement, a lot of activity. We also inherited, just in one district in Carlsbad, New Mexico, 5,600 unprocessed applications to drill for oil and gas on public land. And when we're drilling on public land, those companies pay a royalty, and that money comes to all of our citizens, and it goes to local school districts, and it goes to states. It is the core of the economy in parts of our country. The team down there working for the Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, has dropped that by 91%. It's one of the reasons why they had a record lease sale, is because now people go, I can bid on federal land and I'm going to get a permit to drill, and it's not going to take me 5 years to get it. I'm going to get it in a month or less. And so it's exciting to see your vision. And of course, with this energy dominance, us, as you just noted, largest oil producer in the world, largest natural gas producer in the world, largest natural gas exporter. This is an opportunity for us to bring prosperity and affordability here at home, but also bring peace abroad. So President Trump, your energy dominance strategy with Chris Wright, Lee Zeldin, all the people that are working on this, people around the room, it's been really incredible. And of course, you mentioned Venezuela, but all that flowing to our Gulf Coast refineries is also helping to keep the price of gas down at home. So again, it's an amazing transformation. Bottom line is the center of geopolitics around energy has moved from other parts of the world to the Western Hemisphere in the last 5 months. You turn Venezuela from a sanctioned adversary into a strategic ally in 45 minutes. Never happened in history before. And what's going on in Alaska? When I was there last week in Alaska, the North Slope, 80,000 barrels a day coming online at Pico. That wouldn't have happened with you. It's up by Willow on the North Slope. That's going into the Alaska pipeline. 20% increase just off that one field. So amazing work. Energy is a high-tech industry, and those guys are crushing it, and they're loving the fact that they can provide affordable, reliable, secure energy for America.
And we're working very hard in California. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but California has tremendous oil reserves. Used to be number 3 in the nation, and the radical left has just wiped it out. And we're working very hard to get that open again and get it so the people, their gasoline prices, their lack of energy is just staggering. It's staggering. And we're actually making very good progress. Even people that were against that at one point, now they're saying, wow, that'd be great. But people don't realize it was one of the, right, Chris? It was one of the top drilling states, one of the, I would say in terms of reserves, as among the top in the country. Nobody thinks of that with California. Everything was just closed down, really violently closed down. And we're opening up some of it, and we're being met with actually great spirit because they're paying so much for gasoline that they don't have to be doing that. And they have a very incompetent group of leaders, like grossly incompetent. So I think that's going to be something. On a slightly smaller subject, while Doug was speaking, Department of Interior, he and his people have done a fantastic job on DC. DC is looking beautiful. The fountains are almost all open. We had 28 of them. And we have one in particular, a very long lake, we call it, a reflecting lake between the Lincoln Monument. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. You take a look at between Lincoln and Washington, you have the longest, like 2,400 feet long. That's longer than the tallest building in the world if you set it on its side. And it's almost 200 feet wide. And actually it was built in 1922. And from 1922 on, it really never worked. It always leaked, and it was a problem, and a lot of things. And hundreds of millions was spent. The Biden administration and the Obama administration spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get it to work, and they failed. And we'll be spending, you'll give me a number, but I think it's a very low number. It's like in the number that we originally talked about, where we cleaned it, we fumigated it. We had 10 major truck dumpsters of garbage taken out. Can you believe it? A friend of mine came in, very substantial person from Germany, wanted to see the Washington Monument. I wanted to see the Lincoln Memorial. And he said, I look, but that horrible reflecting pond is disgusting. It's filthy, dirty, and disgusting. I said, really? I drove down. I said, Secret Service, let's take a drive. And we went down. I said, that's terrible. And for the most part, it didn't work. I mean, they wouldn't even have water in there. But when they did, it was just dirty, filthy water that leaked out. And we got to work on it. And it was supposed to cost almost $400 million, because it's like putting the skin on a skyscraper, but bigger, much bigger. Many skyscrapers, you could almost say, other than for the world's tallest. Think of it, the world's tallest skyscraper is shorter than 2,400 feet. So we went to work, and over the years, I built hundreds of pools. I build them every time I built the building. I always like to build Olympic-sized swimming pools, and I was very aware of swimming pool, what goes into making a swimming pool. It's not as simple as people think. You never want it to leak. You want to have beautiful surface. I said, I have an idea, Doug. We sat down. I said, let's take that long thing where we're going to fix it with concrete, which leaks, concrete, all sorts of other materials that all leak and don't look good. They're gray. And, swimming pool, I have a swimming pool right up the road. I built it 22 years ago. It's perfect. I said, does it ever leak? No, it's perfect. Good contractors. I actually called in a couple of the contractors, got some ideas from them, and I gave it to Doug, and Doug's done an unbelievable job. And so they were going to spend maybe $400 million. I don't know. You never know with cost overruns and everything, but it was going to take years to build, 3 years, 4 years. And we'll have it done before July 4th, substantially before July 4th. If we didn't have such bad weather the last 4 or 5 days, we could have been almost done. You can't do the substance of the rain. And what they did is they cleaned it. They took out, as I said, more than 10 dumpsters of garbage, shovels. It was disgusting. Every corner had massive amounts of I guess that's the way the tide goes. But they had massive amounts of garbage. We then steam cleaned it. We then sandblasted it, and then we pebble blasted it. That's a bigger version of sand. We made the surface as good as it can be, and we're now covering it with the most beautiful blue, very thick. You think of it as a very sophisticated form of rubber. No leaks, no problems, and it's beautiful. It's called American Flag Blue. That was the color we chose, and we are probably 70% finished with it. It's going to be finished. The hard part's done. And then we decided to do much more than when I thought I was just going to do the surface, but we said the problem is the outer ring looks pretty bad too, where you walk on. So we sandblasted that. This is all additional work. We didn't want to do, when you do something like this, when you do the one, you think the other looked okay, but then when the other, you see the new surface, the old stuff that looked okay looks really bad. So we cleaned that, sandblasted it. The walkways, all of it. It's a tremendous amount of area. It's thousands of feet long, very wide. This is where the people stand, not the water part, the dry part. And we had a combination of granite and stone. And we're pointing it, fixing it. The joints were terrible, everything. The whole place was a mess. And when it opens in a couple of weeks, long before July 4th, we want to have it for July 4th weekend, but it'll be long before that. You will see something that's really going to be beautiful. And now we're looking at the World War II fountain, because that's also in pretty bad shape. On the bottom, we're going to duplicate it, I think, with maybe with a slightly different color. Actually, we'll go with a lighter color. But Doug and I have a lot of fun doing it. Your staff is fantastic. They've really worked well. But the concept, so think of it, instead of spending $200, $300, $400 million, and it will never work, we're going to spend like $10 million maybe. $12 million. Instead of spending 4 years, we're going to spend, like, if you add it all up, like a couple of months. And instead of going through 4th of July's as a horrible construction site, we're going to have it open before the 4th of July. And the difference is it's better. Somebody said, oh, well, but it's not the same. Some of the fake news would say, well, but it's not. No, it's like the pen story. The pen is better at $2 than it was at $2,000. This is the same thing. This is far better. Won't leak. It'll last for 50 years, maybe 100 years. They didn't even know. I said, how long will this last? Oh, I think you'll get 50 years out of it. We did the swimming pool treatment, but they said, sir, for a little more money, we can get industrial strength. I said, that sounds good to me. Same color, same everything, same stuff, but it's actually much stronger. It's used for industrial. I said, I love that. So we're going to have that open. It's going to be really, really beautiful. And it's a very important thing. We can't have people looking at the Washington Monument, going the memorial. If you take a look, the Lincoln Memorial, it was built, I guess, a little after the Lincoln Memorial. It's embarrassing. It was so horrible. I never saw anything like it. It was filthy dirty. It was Biden. And they spent, between the two of them, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to fix this thing. Now, when Obama did it, he spent way over $100 million. And they had a great idea. Let's use the water from the Potomac. Because environmentally, they liked it. Somebody said that was good. But the water from the Potomac was not suitable for this, to put it mildly. It was disgusting what happened. And so they spent hundreds of millions, over $100 million, and they immediately closed it. It was closed for many months and nobody did anything. It was closed. It's basically been closed. But go back to 1922. It was always sort of, people think of it as beautiful, but it was always a mess. It's going to be unbelievable. It will be unbelievable. It's actually exciting. I want to ride over there today if I can. I always have a problem. Secret Service is in love with my walking along, checking the sidewalk, the new sidewalk, to see whether or not they pointed it correctly. But they do. We have great contractors doing the job, but we'll spend a very tiny amount of money, and it'll be better than it ever was when it was built in 1922. It's very exciting, actually. To me, I love construction. It's very exciting. And we do many things. We did 28 or 29 fountains. I made a contribution to redoing Lafayette Park. That's the entrance to the White House. And it was an embarrassment. The floors were broken. They had bricks. Some of the bricks were missing. Where they're missing? They took them out to throw at people. We're going with it's going to be a world-class park. It'll be open pretty soon. They're doing a lot of work over there. That was a contribution that I made with some other people. And it's going to be really beautiful. That was really the front door to the White House, but you couldn't even use it. It was so terrible. People would come to the White House, and it was so terrible. So with that, I'm going to ask Pete to talk about some of our great success,
Yes, sir.
including Venezuela. You might talk.
Absolutely, sir. I think actually your efforts on the reflecting pool are actually a great segue. If you look at Washington and Lincoln, these are two men that faced monumental tasks and stood up in historic fashion and delivered for the American people. And when you step back and look at 47 years of what Iran waged war against us and our people, there's only one man over the course of both presidency who has stood up and said they will never get a nuclear weapon, as Marco said. So whether it was Qasem Soleimani, whether it was scrapping the Obama deal that was going to give them a weapon, whether it was the 12-day war or Operation Midnight Hammer, you created the conditions to ensure the American people and the world are safeguarded from this generational threat. And so when you authorized Operation Epic Fury, just like you talked about with the reflecting pool, we didn't do the same old thing the way we'd done it in the past after Iraq and Afghanistan, the way we waged wars. Instead, you said, we're going to do this smart. We're going to do it overwhelming. We're going to use maximum lethality, and we're going to bring them to their knees. And so whether it's their Navy that's at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, their Air Force, their air defenses, or their defense industrial base, they may have missiles, but they can't build more right now. And they can't build more drones right now. And they can't build more ships. And so they came and cried uncle to talk, which Steve and Jared and the vice president and others are doing so ably. And during that time, we put in a world-class blockade, and they haven't been able to bring anything in or anything out from Iranian ports. And we know from the intel that their economy is hurting big time because that is their lifeblood. And again, bringing them to the table. So whether it is through the efforts of your negotiators that they ensure that they never have a nuclear weapon, or we have to go back to the War Department to finish the job that way. We're prepared to do that. And I think even our reach on the dark fleet of Iranian tankers, no Iranian tanker around the globe is safe. And we've seen seizures all around the globe, again, choking off their economic lifeblood. But all of this is possible, Mr. President, thanks to the investments that you've made in this department, firing on all cylinders. For the second year in a row, we're at historic recruitment rates. Last year, we said that here. This year, we beat it even faster. The American people are excited about what you're bringing to our department. Our defense industrial base, $50 billion in private investments because of the meetings you've held. Defense manufacturers are investing in new plants and new manufacturing, new production lines, so that we're getting weapons faster than ever. And then the $1.5 trillion that you've committed to the department going forward, that's 1 million American jobs, 1 million American manufacturing jobs. That's Golden Dome for America. That's F-47. That's B-21. That's 50 billion in drones. We're going to lead the world in drones, shaving years off of production of all of those, everything under budget and ahead of schedule, which is what the warfighter deserves. And we saw it. You mentioned Venezuela, Mr. President. You saw it on display there. Think of the fact that our Southcom commander just landed via helicopter at our embassy peacefully at the welcome of the Venezuelans, because we're now partnering with them, hopefully, even on the counter-cartel mission as we secure our hemisphere. So we've secured that southwest border. We're going to war with the cartels through the America's Counter-Cartel Coalition. Venezuela is a big part of securing our energy future and defending the homeland. And then I just want to note one more thing to give you a sense of how committed this president is. Maybe a year ago, he heard the call of Nigerian Christians who were being targeted and killed by ISIS in Nigeria. And he said, Pete, I want the War Department to focus on ensuring that we do everything we can to protect those Christians. Partnerships like that can take time behind the scenes, but he never wavered on it. And we got the assets there. And over the last month, and there hasn't been much coverage of this, we killed ISIS #2 in Nigeria, who's most responsible for killing Christians and trying to target the U.S. homeland, and have since, because of the intel we gathered, killed hundreds of ISIS members who were targeting and killing Christians in Nigeria, creating a whole new opportunity there. So there's a lot of things we do that the media pays attention to, and a lot of things that the president empowers the department to do on behalf of the American people that he deserves great credit for.
Thank you. Great job. You're doing a great job. I just want to say on recruitment, we're very proud of the fact that for the previous 4 years, previous administration, they had I mean, they couldn't recruit people. And that included, by the way, police and firemen and others. They were not proud of our country. And they couldn't recruit. Anybody with a uniform and was having a hard time recruiting. And they set record low numbers. They were way, way behind. And literally from November 5th, it started. It started even before we got going. But from the time we won the election to now, we've had numbers of recruitment, the likes of which we've never had. Record recruitment in every single branch, and that includes police and firemen. Record recruitment, so we're very proud of that. Thank you. Great job. Thank you, sir. Kelly, please.
Mr. President, you have made us a nation of builders again. You're leading us to the greatest economy that the world has ever known. And I see that every week as I travel this country, main streets across dozens of states, from Alaska to Maine. I've been in many of those states 2 or 3 times. I hear it everywhere I go. Please thank the president for putting us back on track. They thank you. They love you. They want more of what we're doing: tax cuts, deregulation, fair trade, energy dominance. Small businesses are spring-loaded, and we see that in the jobs numbers. In the last 2 months alone, we've created over 300,000 private sector jobs in this country. Most jobs are created by small businesses, 2 out of 3. And small businesses, as you know, make up 99% of all businesses in this country and account for half of our GDP. So when that part of the economy is finally working again, they've gotten out from $5 trillion of regulation that the Biden administration put on hardworking small businesses. They penalized growth, investment, hard work, and success. But thanks to the working family tax cuts that every single Democrat voted against, hardworking families, the welders, the waitresses that I meet on factory floors across this country, from Pennsylvania to New Mexico, where I'll be tomorrow. Brooke and I are going to Arizona tonight. So we see this everywhere we go. It's one of the most underreported stories in the media. Main Street is back, and that's because America first. I'll tell you the other thing about fraud. Small businesses are particularly hurt by the fraud because they're some of our biggest taxpayers in the country. And they show up every day. They work hard to provide for their employees, to build their businesses. They're doing it the honest way. And they see fraudsters taking from the American people. It's taxpayer money. And so you think about, at the SBA, we found $200 billion in fraudulent PPP loans that the Biden administration tried to hide and forgive and sweep under the rug. We've turned the first $22 billion of that over to Treasury for collections and to DOJ for prosecution. Our Inspector General is already announcing that people are going to jail. There are jail sentences now being served. We've announced that 140,000 people have been barred from ever getting SBA loans again, defrauding the government for about $9 billion. So we are going to continue our work under the great leadership of Vice President Vance, and appreciate the partnership because it's really accelerated our ability to get the job done. But then just back to small businesses, we have record business formation in this country. That's another story that the media won't tell you. Over 500,000 businesses on average a month this year. So it's not just record people working, strong job creation, business formation at all-time records in this country. But we have manufacturing expansion, 4 consecutive months. That means that's a leading indicator, meaning that we have expansion coming. Another story the media won't tell you, 98% of all manufacturers are small businesses. 75% of our defense industrial base is small business. They're our main exporters. And so America first, free trade, fair trade, deregulation, tax cuts, and energy dominance is helping workers on Main Street. And that's why they tell you to tell me to tell you, Mr. President, thank you, and they love you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Kevin. And I just say, we went to China last week. We had an amazing meeting with President Xi. The relationship's very good. We're doing a lot of business with China now, but it's not where they were ripping us off for years and years. They ripped us off like nobody ever got ripped off. Now it's a very profitable business that we do with China. And they respect our country again. We have the strongest military in the world by far. They respect our country again. Scott, please.
Sir, on the economy, 2 words: resilience and prosperity. The continued resilience of the economy speaks for itself, even during the Iran conflict, and it speaks to the strength of your leadership. Pro-growth policies are creating conditions for American families and businesses to prosper. we're entering the second half of our 250th anniversary year with renewed optimism and momentum. It has never been a better time to be an American. And as you said earlier, we have a record number of Americans working. The economy that you are building is not only strong, but secure and resilient and better positioned to compete globally. Real GDP has risen 2.7% over the past 4 quarters, something that many economists said couldn't be done. In the first quarter of 2026, despite the Iran conflict, GDP grew at a 2% annual rate. The Atlanta Fed GDP now is predicting 4.3% for this quarter. In terms of prices, I believe the prices are transitory. Oil will be lower than pre-conflict levels when this ends. Natural gas is already down, as you mentioned. Drug and pharmaceutical prices, they are plummeting, and rent is down. We are more resilient to energy price fluctuations due to your energy dominance agenda, to regulatory efforts, and we have never sold so much energy to the rest of the world. Business investment rose at a 10.4% annual rate in the first quarter. Capital expenditures and business equipment rose more than 17%. And that is as a result of the tax bill and tariffs. Jobs related to commercial construction, factory construction are up 90,000 since your inauguration. In the past 2 months, the private sector, as Kelly said, has added 313,000 new jobs. And those are private sector jobs, sir, including 13,000 manufacturing jobs. We have construction jobs. We're building the factories, and those will turn into manufacturing jobs. The stock market has hit new highs. The stock market lives in the future. It is seeing on the other side of this conflict, it is a strong symbol of optimism for the future. Corporate earnings are high, and wages are doing well. For the tax season, we had the best tax filing season in history, which is a victory for Main Street. The average refund was nearly $3,300, 11% increase from last tax filing season. And importantly, 62 million returns had one of your 4 signature policies: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. They reduced taxes. 85% of our seniors paid no taxes on Social Security, and the deductibility of auto loans for American-made cars. For what I believe is the most important government benefit for young people since the GI Bill, the Trump accounts. The app will be available on all major platforms tomorrow morning, and it will place the American dreams into the palms of the hands of parents and children. Nearly 6 million kids have been signed up for Trump accounts, and they will launch on July 4th, and it will be a great symbol of the 250th anniversary. Main Street prosperity, workers have seen positive wage gains. The unemployment rate remains low at 4.3%, and private sector job growth is.
Guys, I'm going to stop this. I don't want to listen to this anymore. If you don't mind, hopefully you don't mind. I want to get back to stocks. Probably listened to that for too long. We didn't really get what we wanted to get out of that. I mean, I'm trying to read between the lines with what Rubio said. I really hope we get a deal. I don't know if we're going to, but this is probably going to be more exciting to listen to. It's what we were talking about before we went live with the White House.
Benchmark. I think it's constructive to address the fact, Josh, if you don't own it already, and you're turning on our program, which led with it today and has been talking about it high up in our A block, as we say, every day, can you still own it? If you don't own it now, can you buy it now? How would you answer that?
I would say before you pull the buy trigger, do yourself a favor, have your favorite LLM X-ray your existing holdings, including your ETFs, your 401k mutual funds. There is a very high likelihood that you do already have exposure to Micron, and that taking in an extra position directly into the common stock may not be the smartest thing to do right now. I was talking with Jan Van Eck last week. Van Eck, as many people know, owns the SMH semiconductor ETF. He's got a very good point of view just on the entirety of the space. Micron, differently from many of the other semi-related companies, is basically going through this massive uptick in earnings growth as a result of price increases. We know a couple of things. The first we know is that's rarely sustainable past a couple of years before other people start coming up with solutions. You can't just take price forever. And they've already taken a ton of price because there were only effectively 2 or 3 suppliers to the space. We also know the programs themselves that are requiring all this memory, the LLMs, the data centers, they will all figure out innovative ways to get by utilizing less memory eventually. It doesn't even take that to happen, Scott. All you need to do is hear one person like a Dario or a Sam come out and say, actually, our new model is going to be 20% more efficient in our memory use. And this stock could be at 700 in 2 seconds. So I don't love the idea of buying Empire State Building charts. And I want you to check and make sure you don't already own it before you buy something that's just 100x'd right before our eyes.
You know, Joe, I was talking with a well-known investor this morning who is as astounded as everybody else in the move of this stock and was still buying calls.
And I think buying calls is probably the right strategy, because if you don't own the stock today and you're going to buy it today, understand you're buying it for the near-term return. I say that because if you say to yourself, I'm buying it today and I'm going to hold it over the next 18 months or 12 months, then you have to understand you're going to expose yourself to a significant correction at some point. It's inevitable. Why do I say that? Because this right now has the most attention of any other stock in the entire universe.
That's why
we cover.
That's why we led with this move, because it is incredible to watch.
Let me support it with some evidence, okay? You have currently, on a daily basis, this stock trading somewhere near 60 million shares. That's well above its historical average.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked that now keep in mind, Joe Terranova has a actively managed ETF that he manages. So it's not CNBC saying to buy calls. It's his own opinion. I'm a little surprised that Joe Terranova just said that, though, on TV. Very surprised at that.
Of 15 million shares. If you look at the options, which expire on a weekly basis, the volume on a daily basis continues to grow. The open interest continues to grow. So you use the word before memeish. I don't know, Scott. I'll leave that to you. You be the judge of that, whether that's the right word to use. But there's excessive speculation in here for sure. I can tell you the market makers, the high frequency algorithm models are all participating right now in this name. And what they're trying to do is just capture near-term upside. Longer term, there is really strong fundamentals in place because high bandwidth memory, the capacity for this company, it's sold out for the entirety of 26, and the demand for 27 follows, and it can be characterized as being insatiable.
Memeish doesn't, by the way, insinuate that the stock doesn't deserve.
It's not memeish,
I'm
though.
I'm talking in terms of the one-day price action moves.
You're right
alone.
about that. Absolutely.
Like a 20% again yesterday.
For full clarification, Noto did not say he was buying leaps. He said he was looking into them. So let's not put words in anybody's mouth. I don't know if he bought any or if he's going to. He specifically said he was looking into buying leaps. So looking into is different. I don't believe he has bought any. I have not seen any filings, but he is obviously looking into buying leaps. That's a very important clarification that I feel I need to make. I don't want anybody thinking that he has currently bought leaps.
Mm-hmm. That's like what we saw in the heyday of the
But you
meme-ish
can't move.
activity
You
within
can't
the
move.
market.
You can't move a $2 trillion stock with chatter on Reddit. You can move a $25 billion stock.
The price action in this thing has made a lot of people sit back and say, "Man, it's
extreme."
So here's where my head's at on this. I was reading that article the other day about the market maker, that guy Joe Packey at Morgan Stanley, who's trying to figure out how to deal with SpaceX, right? And what he's saying is, I really need to be sure to get that IPO into the right hands, into long-term buy and hold hands. And so I've been thinking about this in relation to Micron. When you see NVIDIA, that took years to go to $1 trillion, and you see 48 days on Micron, to me that screams that it is meme-ish, and the meme-ish part being, Scott, in that it is not in the right hands. It is not in the long-term, thoughtful buy and hold hands. So then I say to myself, if you were to buy it today, why would you buy calls? And I think you could still make money, but you need to be very clear that at this moment in time, there is not an investment thesis that you can make on Micron, but there is a speculation thesis. And you need to say, look, if I was going to make an investment thesis, I need to have a lot of clarity as to the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years of earnings. There is not enough clarity.
Well, no, you have a backlog. You have a backlog. There's clarity.
For the record,
not
it's
that
John
long.
Pacey, not Joe Packey, but nonetheless,
sorry.
please continue.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Pleasure.
In the moment, I get all heated. Anyway, the point is, it's still trading at 10 times next year's earnings, right? Why is that? Because there's the backlog, but there's not enough visibility. If there was enough true visibility, it wouldn't be stuck at 10 times. But I think if you speculate and say, like, hey, where's the momentum taking it? What's going on with this meme trade? Is it going to take it higher? Could there be short-term upside from here? Then you do the calls, then you can buy it. But it's a speculation. It is not an investment at this point.
Liz.
I can't believe they're talking about calls. Oh my God. At least Jenny Harrington said it's speculation. I'm glad she said that. I mean, I should have bought calls when I bought the stock, but it is what it is. Oh, hold the presses, everybody. Jake Rizzo is here. Jake Rizzo is here.
Again, price target today, the way that the price targets are moving is incredible in its own right. Barclays today goes to 1175. They were at 675. 675 sounded reasonable. That's so 2 months ago. But now it's 1175 there. William Blair goes outperform. They name it the most constructive semi, that they expect sustained price increases in memory, which is going to drive up their revenue and their earnings potential. That is the fundamental backdrop to a T. Memory prices increasing, revenues are going to increase, the earnings expectations continue to go up. Thus, as crazy as the price action would suggest the trading has been, maybe it's all justified.
In semis broadly, perhaps it's justified over a long-term period. I think in a short-term period, the question here and the message that semiconductors are sending and what Micron is sending is that demand is outstripping supply. So prices are continuing to rise, demand will continue outstripping supply, and I think that's what's going to drive a lot of this. But the question that we're asking ourselves on this desk right now is really more of a technicals question. Is this the right time to enter a certain stock that's been up so much? When you look at the technical side of it, I don't think you're going to find a technician out there telling you that this stock looks good on a chart basis and it looks like a good entry point. So if you're really trying to make that decision from a trading standpoint, probably not a good time to jump on the semis bandwagon or jump on a parabolic chart bandwagon. That being said, I do think the fundamentals support what's going on right now. If we look out 12 months in the future, can CapEx continue at this clip? Yes. Can earnings continue at 20 to 30% growth every single quarter? I'm skeptical of that. So as things start to slow down and get a little bit more rational, the healthiest thing for this market to do would be to spread some of that love into other sectors and other industry groups, which would say that semis have to have a cooling off period first.
There's another one that's on the front page today too, and it has been, and it doesn't get talked about as much as Micron does, but Marvell reports, Joe, after.
All right. A lot to unpack there. Can this keep going? Yes. Yes, it can. Is it going to? I have no idea. My crystal ball is broken. The magic 8 ball is currently downstairs, and I have not gone downstairs to get it yet. But here is President Trump says he wouldn't be comfortable with China or Russia taking Iran stockpile. Yeah, no shit. Not that it matters. I mean, Russia has more nukes than us, I believe. Whatever. But look, can this keep going? Yes. I don't know if it's going to, but look, what Liz Young said is true. The fundamentals are supporting it with Micron. Maybe Micron should not have been this cheap. Maybe trading at a low PE was not the right thing for Micron, just based on the fact that, you know what? Even though there's a boom bust cycle historically, the earnings fundamentals are cash flow positive, earnings positive, and maybe it should trade at a more normalized multiple of 15 to 20 times. I don't know why Micron should trade at a lower multiple than some conglomerates out there that we could all name. But part of the parabolic move was because it traded at less than 10 times earnings. That was part of it. The CapEx cycle can, let me repeat, it can, I'm not saying it will, but it can continue through 2030 and beyond. We don't know. We haven't even got humanoid robots. We haven't even got full self-driving. This can continue for a very long time. We are in the middle of a build-out that you can't handicap for. Look, nobody knows what they're going to spend next year. We do know that the big five are going to spend $750 billion this year on CapEx. If they're going to spend $750 billion on CapEx between Amazon, Oracle, Meta, Alphabet, and Microsoft, then who's to say they're not going to break $1 trillion next year? Alphabet just told you they're going to go from 70 to 190 year over year, and they're going to spend more next year. So what are we really talking about? This can keep getting crazier. We could be 1 trillion, 1.2 trillion next year on CapEx. Are we going to? I have no idea. But these companies are not just going to take their foot off the gas. It's not going to happen unless they all do it. And that's what I'm investing on. The fact that NVIDIA is getting so disrespected right now is absolutely insane to me. And look, I get it. It's not where the story is right now directly. It's an adjacent story. Let's look at where we are, and then we'll get back to the Microsoft rant. Because I think the Microsoft rant's very important. And I feel that I need to make like a real big video about this. Reddit 153. Oh my God. Rocket Money. We need a 150 Rocket Money check. ServiceNow, Amazon. Look, thank God Amazon's up over 270. Micron 903. Salesforce reporting today, everybody. Don't forget that. Look at this. Microsoft 413, NVIDIA 211. Captain Sleepy Time can't be happy right now. I'm not happy right now. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. But look, the CapEx spend is real. The CapEx spend can continue to happen. We all saw the profitability metrics, but let's go back to the Apple Microsoft. There is no way Microsoft should be trading at 18 times 2028 earnings when Apple is trading at 29 with more growth. So they're more profitable, they have more forward growth, and they're trading at a discounted valuation to Apple. That's ridiculous. I don't like it. But it doesn't matter what I like. The market's the market. Hold on one sec. This is an inefficiency in the market. And I think I need to start a real series about inefficiencies in the market. This is a very big inefficiency. You can't have, well, yes, you can, but you shouldn't have these two being over $1.5 trillion apart in market cap and this big of a discount on the earnings and profitability. It's crazy. Yeah, look, stocks go down for all different reasons. There's no question about that. But you know what? I think this is an inefficiency. It's the same way you have an inefficiency with Amazon, Walmart, and Costco. This is another inefficiency in the market. 21 times forward for Amazon versus 32.4 and 40 times for Costco. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So we'll see. Nut, would you mind posting it in the chat so I can get the link? I'm not sure where it is, but I would definitely like to read it. You guys know I like doing research, and I really do enjoy reading other points of view. Yeah, this is a good thing. This is something that we've discussed. Maybe it's just there's a very low amount of people selling Costco. But you know what? When you look at versus Amazon, shouldn't be it's either Costco shouldn't be trading there or Amazon should have a higher multiple. It's one of the two. Alina, are you talking to me? I said Nut. That's his name, @Nut2450. Said semi-analysis came out with a new Amazon article, and I said I wanted to read it. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Michael, I truly appreciate it, but please do not. That would be pretty expensive. You do not need to spend any money on me, even though I do appreciate the thought. You know what? Let's not make this like a thing. That was the person's name in the chat. Sorry. I don't know what to say. That was the person's name. But look, big inefficiencies. Sometimes there's money to be made with efficiencies. And I personally think that Microsoft is being disrespected. I really think NVIDIA is being disrespected. I can't control that, though. You guys can't control it. I can't control it. It is what it is. The chat is hilarious. All right. So let's discuss what we got on deck tonight. Hewlett Packard reports Q2 after the close. CRM, Salesforce, reports after the close. I'm probably going to have to go live early. You know what? Let me call Amit. No, I'm not going to call him and text him. Are you streaming Salesforce? I want to, if you're not. So I think what I'm going to do tonight is stream the Salesforce call. I'm going to go over the numbers and then we'll do the market wrap afterwards. But I am super interested in this. I want to see what Benioff's going to come out and say. and I want to see the numbers that they drop on the market. Salesforce, let's go. We also got Marvell reporting tonight. Tomorrow we got Dell. And there was something else tomorrow. I don't remember who it was, though. Those are the big ones. And this market's really getting annoying in all seriousness. Not that it's getting annoying, but I mean, look, oil is under 90. Oil's under 90. Holy cow. 89.79. Oil is under 90. We just broke 90 without a deal. I don't even know. We get a deal, we're going under 80. And then we're back for S&P 8,000, everybody. We're back. We're back. Woo! S&P, baby. I'm ready for S&P. Are you guys ready for S&P 8,000? I can feel it. Crude oil, 89.79. Lena, we never left. Look at that. I guess I'm on the we never left bandwagon also because I said S&P 8,000 from the very beginning. Well, I'm not showing off my hair. What are you talking about? My hair is the same it always is. It's actually out of place. I don't know why you guys like my hair so much. It's pretty wild. But thank you. Reddit 153, ServiceNow 102, Hood 75, SoFi catching a little bit of a bid 1623. We'll take it. Apple's 310, Alphabet 391, Verizon approaching 50. Don't forget their new CEO. You know what, Lena? That's not nice. That is just not nice. I don't need to get bullied by you also. That's not nice. Do I still have Reddit? Yes, I do. I'm about even right now when you add up the cover calls. Verizon 4872 and Altria Group 7245. Gotta love that. What you don't like is Meta at 610, Microsoft at 411, and Nvidia at 211. That's what we call a no bueno. No bueno. This is not good. June, now you're piling. No good. You guys are just not nice to me. I don't know. I feel like the shadow government is in here getting you guys to gang up on me. Next decade, 802. Okay. If next decade keeps falling, I would get very interested in starting a position. I am interested. I haven't started yet. I'm being cheap. But you know what? Nvidia at 211. I mean, okay. In all seriousness, what are we doing? Look at this. Look at this. I built this for you so we can look at it together. How the hell are they selling this off? 85% revenue growth year over year, 81.6 billion. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's right, Chels. Who doesn't like a good sale? I agree. If next breaks 8, I'm getting interested. No, Lena, I'm just messing with you. You obviously didn't say anything mean. Gross profit margin, 74.9%. This is what? Oh, what is QXO doing? Hold on. We'll go to QXO in a sec. I do need to talk about that. Somebody told me it was doing good. All right, 1743. We'll go at it in a minute. Operating income is 65.6% margin, 53.5 billion. What are we doing? Why are we selling this off? This is BS, in my opinion. BS. I'm sorry, you don't look at this sliver of CapEx in 3 months. Oh, we're going to sell off a company that just did 48.6 billion in free cash flow in 3 months. Their free cash flow in 3 months is more than the revenue generated from what, half of the S&P, something like that. This is crazy talk, everybody. It's absolutely crazy, crazy talk. I don't know. Joni, what's going on? Look, there's inefficiencies all around. We don't want the market to go straight up. And quite honestly, inefficiencies are opportunity. Always keep that in mind. NVIDIA breaks 200, I buy more. I have too much. Well, you can never have too much. As a percentage of my portfolio, I probably have too much. But you know what? I am really looking at this as I'd pick up more under 200. If I didn't have the position I have, I'd probably be picking up here, but it's got to get to even more of a screaming buy. But this is not making sense to me. It really isn't. Especially when Jensen came out and said, we're doing 90% year over year growth in Q2. Is Steve a watch guy? Maybe. I may have been known to acquire one or two in my life. Maybe. Maybe. You know what else I am? I am a lover of all investments. I have not even moved this yet. It's still sitting on my desk. Chaos Rising. Sealed box. New episode of Alternative Assets will be shot tomorrow. Have you seen BP? He always rocks something on. Oh, basis point. Yep. Will I do a rip and ship? No. I'm not doing a rip and ship. I mean, maybe I'll buy a box and rip it on stream, but I'm not doing a rip and ship. By the way, everybody, I just wrote my first article for Artemis. It is on the SaaS apocalypse. It's very detailed. So hopefully you guys like it. I'm becoming a very I think Artemis's data is very good. So I actually like them. So if you want to read it, I shout out on X also. You know what, Jeff? I have not had time to start day trading yet. I don't know where the time goes. I feel like I'm the busiest unemployed person there is. I don't have time. I don't even have time to go to the gym. Starting to make time, though. I just charged my Apple Watch. I'm going to go for a little walk in a little bit. You know? But yeah, there's some inefficiencies. Let's go QXO. Remember, and I want to be very clear about something with everybody. My thesis on QXO, okay, is a multi-year thesis. It's a multi-year thesis. Amit, what are you doing? Somebody's going to clip that and send it to Noda. What are you doing? Anyway, My thesis on QXO is a multi-year thesis. And the multi-year thesis involved with it is rates coming down because we need the housing market to be unlocked. Brad Jacobs is a business icon, and I believe he's going to use the same M&A roll-up strategy to build out QXO the way that he built. I'm trying not to laugh right now, but I almost need to with that. Sold 3 cents so he can go buy himself lunch. Anyway, he's going to use the M&A roll-up strategy that he used to build United Rentals, United Waste, and XPO Logistics. They're expecting within the decade, not this decade, but within a decade of operation, to get to 50 billion revenue. At a 50 billion revenue, if they trade at one-time sales, that's a 4x from the market cap it is today. Now, once the Top Build acquisition goes through, I believe that puts them at roughly 40% of the way there. And when we talk about QXO, the big thing to understand is they started with Beacon Roofing with the acquisition. I have not confirmed this, but there are reports that they are using Palantir's Foundry software for the underlying technology to rebuild all the back-end tech. They bought Kodiak, which is lumber yards and trusses, and they are acquiring Top Build, which is insulation. They own the entire stack. This means when they go onto a job site and they put a bid in, whether it's for an apartment building, contractor with a house, whatever it is, everything gets delivered on the same payload. Everything from lumber to trusses to everything inside to installation to windows to doors. They do everything. Economies of scale will allow them to win because they'll be able to create the most optimized bid. This is a story you need rates for. This is a story that, look, we need inflation to come down, PPI to cool, the Fed to cut, because a lot of people are stuck in mortgages that they don't want to get out of because they have 3% rates or lower. Why would you take golden handcuffs off if you don't have to? I mean, being tied to 3% is amazing. People are not moving unless they're forced to for work or they are forced to involuntarily. So this is not something that I'm looking at for a quick hit. Some people have been able to get a quick hit because I was talking about at 1650, it ran to 25, it came back down. This isn't a quick hit for me. This is a multi-year thesis. That's the way that most of my investments are structured, with multi-year theses. So that's what I wanted to say about QXO. This is something to watch. We need the macro to turn for it. Yeah, Joe Smith, look, I get it. And you definitely know more than me, considering you own a general contracting business. The housing market's tough, and it could be a while till we have a boom. No question about it. I'm willing to be on the QXO train sooner, only because I want to benefit from when that boom happens. I don't have a crystal ball. My crystal ball got broken. I don't know. It broke. We have a lot of very interesting things today. And I'm excited about Salesforce. I'm excited about where we go from here. I'm actually excited about some SaaS. I know Lena's looking at ServiceNow. I think ServiceNow, Workday, and Salesforce are interesting. I don't think they're getting vibe coded away. We'll see what happens. Let's do one more market check. Let's see if there's anything else we should be looking at. $89.62 on crude, everybody. Gotta love it. The Dow is up 187. The S&P is basically flat. The Nasdaq is basically flat. All right. Reddit's the big winner today. Rocket Lab trying to get past 150. ServiceNow 102. Amazon 270. IBM 255. Very interesting on IBM. Very interesting. SoFi 1622. Micron 907. Verizon 48. Meta being disrespected. Salesforce is losing some ground going into the print. Look, Salesforce, in my opinion, is going to either 160 or 210. There's no middle ground. This thing's been being up so much. It's in a bear market. No, I have not been dabbling on Symbiotic. Lena Ford, yes. Should look at Ford. What's going on with Ford? 1588. Man. Gotta love Ford. Gotta love Ford. Good old American company. My number 2 most American company behind Coca-Cola. Microsoft being absolutely disrespected. The same with NVIDIA. Guys, gals, this is crazy. This is crazy. And don't forget, I do think Palantir just trades sideways. ARM down a lot, Fortinet down, Next Decade down, Cloudflare down, CoreWeave down. Is what it is. It is what it is. All right, everybody. That is the Midday Market Show. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll be back at you tonight. And I think I may be on with Captain Sleepy Time tonight also. We'll see. I got to contact him. Anyway, happy investing. Thank you for watching. Be back at you tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. Thank you very much. If you're going to Tanner, spam Tanada. Tanada. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.